Decimal is 0, so it's not divisible. And so this is, sorry. Okay. What? Yeah. Okay. So, sorry guys, I'll restart from scratch. So, I'm here today to talk about Metaplex Core. So, Metaplex Core is the new standard for digital asset on Solana. We didn't migrate, but like we created this new standard because the old standard wasn't optimized enough. But we're going to talk about this later. Before, we're going to talk about what is an NFT. There is a big difference between fungible token and non-fungible token. Some of the main difference is, for example, a non-fungible token can be considered a digital asset because it's unique. So you could, for example, mint only one token of that, and it's not divisible. So it's perfect for example, talking about art, or talking about, like, I don't know, digitizing, for example, real world assets, or pretty much everything that is for the digital asset. Fungible token, as if you guys were in yesterday lesson, we know that we can pretty much mint how many as we want, and we can mint with as much decimals as we want. So we could completely mint, like, for example, alpha token, 1/10 of a token, or pretty much whatever we want. So, why do we need a new standard? So we needed a new standard because the old standard was very, very old. So the first NFT mint, is this very, very cool creature here. And it's been 3 years since the last time we actually created the first NFT. And in these 3 years, there wasn't that many optimization. So we come up with different things for different people. So for example, we come up with programmable non-fungible, with compressed NFTs and everything else. But there wasn't really an optimization just for NFTs. In fact, if we think about it, the old token metadata program was built on top of the SPL token program, that it's not viable for non-fungible token. Like, it's viable, but it's not optimized for them. It's optimized for fungible token, not non-fungible token. It required multiple account. If you ever worked with NFTs on Solana, you know that before, to create an NFT, you actually needed a mint account, a token account, a metadata account, a master edition account, and if you were working with programmable non-fungible, you even had an additional account. So it wasn't viable to use 5 different accounts just to mint an NFT. And because it was very bulky and expensive. You pay rent on chain, so for every feature that you don't actually need, you pretty much are locking some Solana that you could use for something greater. So that's why we created Core. Core is the first standard just for NFTs. And it develops a uniquely designed single account non-fungible digital assets standard. So what does it mean is that before we had 5 different accounts, now everything is just in the asset itself. We have a we're going to talk a little bit more about like how the asset is structured, how the collection are structured, and all the accounts. But pretty much the very cool thing is you can create the minimum viable product, pretty much, of an NFT that is just name, URI, update authority, and owner, and all the behavior can be added only if you need it. So pretty much you just pay for the basic structure, and you just pay more for every behavior that you want to add to the NFT. Naturally, not as fee, but just as rent. So, single account structure, what does it mean? As I said before, we had before to create an NFT, we had 4 different accounts. The total was 644 bytes, even more if we think about programmable non-fungible, and we had the possibility finally to stretch it in one single account that is just 75 bytes. So pretty much now, for rent, it costs 1/10 of what it was costing before, even more. So how is that possible? So if we see what are the 4 different accounts that we were using before, we actually see that most of the field of the old token metadata program aren't actually required for NFTs. For example, we don't need a mint authority because an NFT can be only one. So once you create the NFT, you can just mint the only token that you can mint, and pretty much you don't need a mint authority. You don't need a supply. The supply should always be 1. You don't need decimal. Decimals are always 0. They're not divisible. You can see that if we go inside of every account, it's easy to see that we don't actually need most fields. We just actually need those 4 fields that are in the asset v1 account for core asset now. So we need an owner, because it can always be only one owner, and having the owner directly inside of the asset, it's even more optimized, because when we do a transfer, we don't need different token account. We're going to see this exact example more in detail later, but you don't need different token accounts. You just need to change the field of the ownership, that it's super, super fast, super, super optimized. You don't need a lot of CU. Then you have the update authority. We're going to see it's very interesting how it's set it up, but I don't want to spoil anything, so we're going to see that later. Then we have the name and the URI. They are pretty much what you need for NFTs. You don't need symbol. You don't need anything else. You need to know how your NFT is called and what's the metadata for it. So coming back to the example of a simple transfer, if we see here, for executing a simple NFT transfer, before we needed 3 accounts or 5 for programmable non-fungible, and pretty much none of the field in the different none of the field of the 3 different accounts does pretty much anything in a transfer. Like, we are just changing the ownership, like we're just changing the amount from one token account from 0 to 1, and the other one from 1 to 0. So that's why with Asset V1, you just need to change the owner field, and it's like super, super optimized, super, super light. You don't need a lot of compute unit to do that, and it's very, very good. So if we go back into the Asset V1, we actually see that there is no collection. So I want to create collection. I want to group my NFT. How can I do that? So before actually telling you how to do that, we actually have the collection V1 asset. So we decided before for the token metadata, we had both the collection and the asset itself were the same account, just one didn't have like a collection field, and that's why it was considered a collection, and the other one had collection field, and that's how it was considered an asset. This time around, we decided that it didn't make much sense, and since we were completely optimizing everything, we probably needed a different asset, a different account for a collection. That's because we wanted to say, for example, we didn't need an owner. Collection shouldn't have owner. They should have update authority. At the same time, we probably wanted to add some very cool thing, like the number of asset minted and the current size. This is because every time we burn an NFT, like the current size it decreased, but the number minted stayed the same. So you could track the change in the size of your collection directly inside of the collection asset itself. Before explaining how then we can group asset in collection, let's just say that collection are a group of assets that belong together, and they are part of the same series or group. So the question now is, how do we actually add an asset inside of collection? That's easy. If you think about it, it's not easy, but it's actually genius. If you think about it, does individual asset need a very particular update authority? No. You can just use the same, like a collection, and all the assets inside of a collection would probably need the same update authority. So why don't we just reuse the update authority inside of the Asset V1 account to actually store the collection? So we have inside of the update authority, we can have 3 different fields. We can have a collection, we can have an address, and we can have none. So none if you want to make your asset completely immutable. Collection if it's actually belong to a collection, so it's grouped with other assets. And address if you just want to, like, it's just one of asset that you want to control. So then how does the update authority when I put the collection inside of the update authority works? Pretty much what it does is it's going to fetch the update authority over the collection that we saw before. So we cannot actually create a collection inside of collection because the collection we want update authority doesn't have a collection. But we can fetch the update authority inside of the collection V1 account and use that for validation. So, okay, we talked about the fact that it's a single digital asset account. And we talked about the fact that, yeah, you can set the name, you can set the URI, you can group them together. But is this all that is for core? No. We have additional functionalities. And additional functionalities come in a very, very cool way because it comes with plugins. It's completely different from what we were used to before, because usually to control the state, to personalize behavior, to do pretty much everything you want, usually the way to do is like you add an account that has some logic inside of it that will make your asset behave in a way. That's how it was done for token metadata, and that's how pretty much most of the state gets managed on-chain. But with Core, we actually decided to just move to a single account. So every plugin gets directly added inside of the account by resizing the account itself. So pretty much, you just, for example, if I want an additional functionality, I want the permanent delegate, or I want to create like a soul-bounded NFT. We're going to see that example explained later. I can just say, OK, I want to add the permanent delegate. I want to freeze the asset forever. I don't want anybody to be able to freeze. And I just pay for the rent of this additional behavior. I don't pay for the rent of every additional behavior. Other than that, there is something that I'm very, very, very excited about, that is the external plugin. So we saw before the plugin, I forgot to mention that there are 4 different ways you could actually verify the authority of a plugin. That is like if the authority is owner managed or like authority managed. So pretty much what it means is who can actually add this additional behavior. So you have, for example, an owner managed plugin can be added only by the owner. So without the need of the update authority. Then we have something like an authority managed plugin that we want only the authority to be able to add this behavior to the asset itself. External plugin function a little bit different. This is because, first of all, they're all authority managed. Nobody can add it if they're not the update authority over the assets or the collection, as we said before. But they're very, very interesting because it comes up with a slightly harder concept, but that it's very, very cool. So every external plugin is composed of 2 different parts. We have an adapter and the external plugin itself. So the adapter actually it functions like a buffer between the data that we can save inside of the external plugin and the behavior of the asset itself. So what it means is that we can actually add some validation. And for example, if certain data is saved on chain, we can say, yeah, if the data is like this, you have to reject every transfer for that NFT. So I can, for example, create a circuit breaker for a real-world asset platform to completely stop trading and stop like everything that happens with my digital asset with a single click, because I just need to change the flags of the external plugin data and says, yeah, I don't want any NFT to be minted. I don't want any NFT to be transferred. I don't want anything to happen. And I completely create a circuit breaker that let me see what's the problem, if there is maybe an exploit, and actually solve it without completely destroying my platform. Other than that, naturally, the external plugin comes in a way that you can pretty much give the authority over a certain part of the asset itself, so some data inside of the asset, to a completely different person. I really enjoyed that external plugin, and that's why later I'm going to actually do. I'm going to actually talk about an example that we created where the it's called the app data plugin. The app data plugin actually is, in my opinion, used at its full potential. So before moving to the next part, first of all, you have a QR code. If you scan it, it will take you to the developer hub. Us, as community developer and as Metaplex, we actually love to teach people how to use our infrastructure. So I'm very, very proud about the content and like the way we actually created the developer hub. So if you need anything, like to learn anything about core, about token metadata, about all the tools that we actually have, come see the developer hub. For me, it's really amazing. And if you don't like it, tell me, because we're gonna fix it. So before continuing to the next part of the session, does anybody here have any question about core? Go.
So the plugin, that sounds really interesting. So with the plugin, whenever you are, let's say, you have the authority to. Hello, test. Is it working? Oh, it's for the internet. Okay. Hello, internet. So whenever you are writing a plugin, you have to be allocated the permission to be able to use the plugin. So like you explained that you have, it's authority managed is what you were saying. And so the delegation of the authority, how is that on the, whenever you deploy like your contract, you delegate like the wallet authority, the wallets that are like authorized to do the plugin?
So to create a plugin, actually, since we have our own infrastructure, you don't have to deploy anything. It doesn't work like EVM that every token needs to have their own smart contract. You can just use our deployed contract to create an NFT. About the way that the authority over the plugin works is to add it, you have to be or the owner, if it's owner managed, or like the update authority of the asset. But then, once you add it, you can delegate the authority over that plugin to whoever you want. It can be It can be delegated, for example, to the owner. It can be delegated to the update authority that added it, or can be delegated to like an arbitrary address that can then do whatever they want with the plugin that you just added.
So could the plugin then overwrite any contract logic that already exists, or is there anything that's like immutable within the?
So all the logic inside of the plugin is completely immutable.
Okay.
So you cannot, like at the moment, there will be, it's called Lifecycle plugin, and it will be released soon. It's not yet ready. We are just teasing something about it. But at the moment, the logic inside of the plugin, it's that. Like you can do, for example, a soul-bounded NFT. You cannot change the way that the soul-bound works. It's like or frozen, is it or frozen or not frozen? You cannot do anything about it. But yeah, so it's like you just give the authority, and the authority can change, for example, a flag, can change the data, can change whatever the plugin actually does.
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody has any other question? Question going once, question going twice. Let's go to the next session of the presentation. So I wanted to actually showcase some code, but then I thought about it and said, I showcased some code yesterday. Why today don't we do something completely different? We are here to talk about an hackathon. We are in an hackathon season. Everybody is trying to compete in hackathon to win prizes. Metaplex is actually sponsoring a lot of those hackathons, like the local track here in Berlin. So I just said, let's go, Super Team Berlin. So I just said, why don't just we talk about some ideas? We get some ideas from the public, and we just like think about it together and build something cool. So I just add two different examples. One I will come up with at a fly. The other one is like a little bit more structured. There is actually a write-up on the developer app. And then I'm going to take some ideas from the crowd, and we're going to actually think about it. How can we make it a protocol leveraging Metaplex? So unique badges. Who here has an Apple Watch? Anybody has an Apple Watch? A lot of Apple Watch in the crowd. So I really actually enjoy the fact that when I hit my fitness goal, I actually get a badge. So what if, for example, now we're starting to have fitness wearable that just leverage blockchain, like the Kudis that I have on my ring. Shout out to Kudis to gifting me this ring. Why don't we actually create some assets that resemble a badge that you can completely collect, and we can make it like, first of all, since it's just a badge, it's super easy to mint it and doesn't cost that much because you don't need any additional behavior to it. It just needs to be soul bounded. But we can put the soul bound on the collection and have the asset completely pretty much just being minted with the name and the URI. That is, yeah, it doesn't cost that much. So what if actually we group all the objective, for example, of a person inside of a collection, and we can link that collection directly with a wearable. And so pretty much once you see all the assets inside of that collection, you can see all the badges that you want. I think it's actually pretty cool because first of all, you don't need to be a Web3 savvy person to actually understand what an NFT is, but at the same time, it's probably the minimal viable thing that can start getting people that are not used to blockchain actually excited about blockchain, because you can tell them, yeah, these badges will always be yours. Like no matter what happened to the company, no matter what happened to us, this badge will be the thing that you actually did that. So, and you can collect it and actually have it like for pretty close to free, and actually have something cool that you can showcase in the wallet. And this probably will help a lot of different people getting excited about NFT, getting excited about blockchain, getting excited about everything else. And that's how you onboard the next billion people. Other than that, this is something that I'm very, very excited. I actually written the developer app guide that you can find at the QR code there. And what it actually does is pretty much create a ticketing platform, not not a complete ticketing platform. Naturally, you will jump through some hoops. You will just use, like, for example, also a different front end. You will probably need to add something to the smart contract that I created. But it's very exciting because it's a minimum viable product for a ticketing platform. So what it means is that, first of all, we can always verify all the tickets that are being sold. You cannot get oversold ticket because all is leveraged by the blockchain. So what happened, for example, with the ticket for Taylor Swift that was hacked, and like a lot of people got different problem because actually they weren't sure if their ticket was real or not. It could have been avoided by just using using blockchain. So the way that it works is that every, for example, data about the venue. So for example, where is the venue located? What is the event? Well, like who is the singer and everything else gets actually saved in the collection. The collection has a fixed number of assets that can be minted. So for example, I can mint up to 500 different tickets because the venues are only 500 people. It can contain only 500 people. So I save all this data directly inside of the collection, and to make it very, very easy to verify that the ticket is for that event itself, I then mint all the different assets directly inside of the event collection with the specifics of the event itself. So where am I seated? In what, like for example, what part of the stadium am I seated? And everything else, like what's the price range of my ticket? And so first of all, it's super, super easy because then you have a wallet that becomes easy to see, and it becomes like I can have all my ticket there. Second of all, it's all verifiable on chain, so we cannot oversell the location because there are only 500 sitting open, and like it will not let you create more asset inside of that collection. So it's you know that the venue is not oversold. And last of all, this creates a way to reward the people that are really there. So at the moment, you have to rely on, for example, Ticketmaster. If you're an artist, you have to say, oh yeah, Ticketmaster, can you give me all the email of the person that went in? Maybe some people like sell the ticket, or like some people just don't care, like they order a lot of ticket for just reselling purpose. By doing like this, for example, when the ticket gets scanned, get locked forever inside of your wallet. So the people that actually own the ticket in that moment are actually the people that will get rewarded, for example, for a special drop after a concert of maybe, I don't know, a very good image about the concert, like like a small video about like all the best moment of the show. It works like a memory forever for you, and you're actually targeting only the people that were there. So I'm very, very excited for that, and I'm very, very excited because by doing this, you actually eliminate a lot of the cost of the middleman. Artists can actually launch their own, like they can have their own ticketing platform, and we use the app data plugin to give, for example, not to give like the venue authority, for example, the possibility of changing everything about the asset, because we don't want to, like me as a platform that issue the ticket, I don't want somebody else to have the possibility to change everything about that. But with the app data, I can actually give the venue authority a very small piece of data inside of the NFT. They're under their control. So the asset remain immutable from that authority, but I can actually save some data inside of it. So for example, if the ticket was scanned, if I don't know, if the ticket was refunded, if the ticket is voided, like everything else can be saved inside of a very small part, not a very small, it can be as large as you want, but like a part that is only changeable by the venue authority. So yeah, if you're interested in this, go read the guide. I feel like it's very, very like explain a lot how that works. So yeah, I was actually pretty excited to be able to write that. So now, if you're working on an idea, if you have anything that you want to that we want to brainstorm on, just go for it. I'm gonna, I don't know, tell me an idea. We're gonna try to come up with something on the fly to actually build it. Anybody has any idea that could employ digital assets? Nothing? Here it is.
The validation of ownership for journalistic content.
That's actually a pretty interesting one. So, first of all, if you think about journalistic content, we think about even like about censorship. Like sometimes some journal or some journalists actually get censored for what they say. So by saving the data inside of the centralized storage, you can actually prevent that, because then it's like everybody will be able to access. Maybe it will not be pushed by the big company, but everybody will be able to access that. But yeah, let's sidetrack about ownership. It's very easy to prove, for example, that I am the first to have written that exact piece of article, like that exact article. So if I can actually save when I save something to the blockchain, it gets saved by who actually saved that and with a timestamp. So if, for example, another person after 1, 2, 3 months come up with something that is very similar or like completely equal, I can say, hey, yeah, that's actually like, that's not actually yours, because see, 3 months ago, I actually uploaded the same piece of content. So this is actually mine. Naturally, at the moment, hopefully in the future, this will have like a legal value, but for sure, if the author is big enough, they can say, oh yeah, you completely plagiarized my work. So yeah, you suck. So that's something that I like very much.
I just want to comment on the back of that. That would be great to check publications like the Daily Mail, where their whole business model is finding articles that were published like the day before and changing every other word to its synonym, and then republishing it on their platform, like a plagiarism machine.
Yeah, who is building like an AI tool that checks the derivation like on blockchain and checks like, I don't know, scans for other publication and say, oh yeah, this actually sucks. Like 70% of the content is like the same as this piece that I found like into this database on chain. So yeah, 100%. Who's building that? You're building that. Cool. Anybody else? Any other ideas? Anybody else? Come on, guys, don't be shy. This is your moment to shine and to actually win some prizes. So, cool. Say if anybody else have any idea, I will just say thank you for hearing me out. Hopefully you like Metaplex. Hopefully you like digital asset. Hopefully you like core. So yeah. Thank you for tuning in, and see you soon.
Yeah.